Well, you all summon this Vecna?
No, you're not listening. Just listen. There's no cult. There never was.
You expect me to believe that?
It's the truth.
Then why was Chrissy at Eddie's trailer?
She was buying drugs.
Liar!
Okay.
Oi, don't say that. That's not true. That's not true.
Oh, I'm so, I must...
Are you having a laugh as well?
The recently concluded Stranger Things Season 4 has people looking back and reflecting on what happened. Needless to say, this video will contain spoilers for Season 4. So we need to talk about Jason Carver, the blonde Ken doll, king of the filibuster. For obvious reasons, many fans hated him and wanted to see him burn. But a lot of the criticism he's received is not deserved at all. I'm not here to tell you whether or not he was annoying, ranted too much, etc. The subjective complaints are fine, but we need to look at some facts. We need to take a look at the story from a few different angles. First, let's start with Chrissy Cunningham, Jason's girlfriend. For some reason, people have this idea that Jason was a bad boyfriend, and that's why Chrissy seeks out Eddie Munson for some special K. By 1982, Chrissy Cunningham would rise through the ranks of her cheer squad and become known as the Queen of Hawkins High.
Chrissy Cunningham, the Queen of Hawkins High.
But things at home weren't going so well. Laura, Chrissy's mom, had her under constant pressure, as revealed in flashbacks from Vecna later on. Chrissy and her mother had a very bitter and tense relationship. Her mother was abusive and would make comments about Chrissy's figure to shame her. While it's unclear if any physical abuse took place, we do hear in a flashback that Laura says something about gutting her like a pig. And so Chrissy would develop an eating disorder. She was held to impossible standards by her mother and would do whatever it takes to be seen as perfect. Of course, like all cases of abuse, you cannot appease an abuser. Jason is a lot like her, held to high standards and loved by his peers. However, Jason didn't come from a troubled home. Jason strived to be great, but didn't feel like he was forced into his position. This is why Chrissy never revealed her at-home struggles to him. How could he understand? While things appeared fine on the surface, Jason was sadly not as close to his girlfriend as he would have thought himself to be. But it's important to keep in mind, Chrissy hid these things from Jason by choice. She goes to Eddie for drugs, and they remember each other from when Eddie played for Corroded Coffin back in the 1979 Hawkins Middle School talent show. She's more comfortable about her home issues around Eddie because Eddie knew her before her status as Queen of Hawkins High. This does not in any way mean Jason was responsible for her troubles, or even that he knew about them. Later, Jason is even in denial of Chrissy coming to Eddie for drugs, to further show that he never knew about her struggles. Now Chrissy and Eddie shippers, put down your pitchforks. I'm not saying there can't be any romantic undertones and chemistry there. I'm just saying that Jason is not guilty of making her want drugs. At worst, Jason is ignorant to his GF's underlying trauma and dysmorphia. He never treated her poorly, that we know of, and the only reason we never saw him comfort her about her home life is because she never opened up about it. And now with that relationship out of the way, back to the main point.
Hi, my name is Trey. I have a basketball game tomorrow. Well, I'm a point guard. I got shoe game.
Jason Carver was the head of the Hawkins basketball team. Clearly ambitious and charismatic, he cares deeply about his town.
Whoa, what the fuck?
Our introduction to him is a big speech to honor the tragedies of the previous seasons. The death of Billy, Barb, Heather, and all that were lost to the mysterious curse plaguing his town. And most importantly, he wanted to win the championship game as a tribute to Chief Hopper's heroic sacrifice. In the face of trauma, he wanted Hawkins to band together and turn that sadness into inspiration. Sure, a basketball game means nothing in the grand scheme of things, but in his eyes, after so much loss in that town, any form of a win could give people hope. Jason is not aware of the upside down, nor is almost anybody in Hawkins, but he still regards Hopper as a hero who made a sacrifice. When you take a look at a character like Angela, it's clear that not everybody shares the same opinion.
I just don't think that's what Mrs. Gracie meant by historical. This is supposed to be about famous people?
Die! Die! Die!
My dad is famous.
But Jason, with his limited info, chooses to believe that Hopper was a hero. Jason demonstrates three main personality traits: leadership, compassion, and charisma. Leadership is displayed rather on the nose, with him being the leader of the basketball team. He's good at managing people and their talents. Based on the fact that his team, the Tigers, are playing in the championship game, it's safe to say he leads fairly well. Compassion is especially demonstrated in his relationship to Lucas. When he sees how much effort Lucas puts into winning the game, he makes sure to give him the praise and credit he deserves. Despite Lucas being a social outcast, Jason sees him as family and a part of the team. Jason checks on Lucas during his hangover.
Feels like you're gonna split in two. You'll live.
And even tells him that he's not obligated to join the hunt for Eddie Munson later on. He knows that Lucas wouldn't have the stomach for it, and suspects that Lucas cares for Eddie. Now, we can't overlook his flaws, of course. He's compassionate to his inner circle, but often neglects those unassociated with himself. He even sees some of the unpopular people, such as Eddie, as freaks. But the fact that he welcomes Lucas with open arms and looks out for him like a brother until a major conflict of interest just shows that he's not such a bad guy. And arguably his most important trait, charisma. Jason has a gift. And no, it's not his ability to shoot hoops, nor his ability to make cheerleaders swoon. He has the ability to inspire others, to give people hope and make them rise up for a cause. He appeals to his peers and the older people in town alike, bridging a generational gap in their values. This is a dangerous combination of traits that would ultimately turn the viewers against Jason. Stepping back into his shoes, Jason is often provoked by Eddie and his antics. Eddie, in an early scene, jumps on the lunch table and taunts Jason, so of course our headstrong jock isn't too fond of him. So it should be no surprise that when the social outcast with the devil on his shirt is the last person seen with Chrissy prior to her death, Jason would start making connections. Back then, times were different. The era was called the Satanic Panic for a reason. Religion was pretty ingrained into many homes, and when supernatural events happened in Hawkins, how else was somebody ignorant to the upside down supposed to comprehend it all? Chrissy, his girlfriend who he had no idea was troubled, goes to what appears to be the leader of a hell cult begging for drugs, and then is found dead in his trailer. Throw away your bias as a viewer. What was Jason supposed to think? In his otherwise perfect life, his girlfriend just got murdered by some freak, and he doesn't know how to deal with that kind of trauma. Jason gathers up his group of hot-headed jocks to track down Hellfire Club leader Eddie Munson and get revenge. Jason is enraged. When they chase Eddie onto the lake, the evidence against Eddie becomes even more damning. Patrick, Jason's buddy, starts to catch up to Eddie's boat. He is suddenly lifted into the sky and mangled, in a manner similar to what happened to Chrissy. We know as a viewer it was actually Vecna, but Jason? He maybe didn't have enough proof to 100% blame Eddie for Chrissy. It was circumstantial evidence, and though it was the most obvious conclusion to draw, his moral justification for blaming Eddie was still a bit gray. But now seeing Patrick die like that essentially confirmed it. Eddie lifted him into the sky with his satanic powers and brutally murdered him right in front of Jason's own eyes. Any shred of doubt Jason may have had is now gone. And on top of that, the stress and anger he feels after losing two people shown to be close to him is unimaginable. And yet, with no feasible way to defeat Eddie's dark magic, he still seeks to avenge the fallen. We know his anger is misplaced, but imagine this for a second. What if Jason had the same bravery and anger towards Vecna? If he had known who the real villain was, the fans would love him. His actions are brave and heroic the entire season. He does not give in to fear. He is an alpha, but alas, he is not omnipotent to the existence of the Upside Down like we are. There's plenty more moments we can hyperanalyze, but I'd rather fast forward to the biggest one, the attic scene. Jason brings a gun and goes into the attic where Max is being trapped by Vecna. To this damaged and scarred Jason Carver, he sees a helpless girl trapped in the same satanic ritual that claimed two other people close to him. His inability to save the last two victims surely has him desperate to prevent another tragedy. And the only person nearby is Lucas, who Jason had found out is a member of Eddie's satanic club. Lucas, whom he had supported, is a member of the cult that killed his friend and girlfriend. And yet, even in this moment of anger, even with this feeling of betrayal, he doesn't shoot on sight. He angrily demands that Lucas frees this poor helpless girl from the spell, proving that revenge isn't his priority. He just wants people to stop dying. Of course, once again, we know as the audience that Lucas is actually trying to help Max as well. Side note, there are some very strange people that use Jason pointing a gun at Lucas as fuel for a claim of racism. There's no evidence to suggest Jason is being racist. He accepted Lucas and was practically an older brother to him for their short relationship. It's an odd attempt to smear his character, especially because the Duffer Brothers have already shown they aren't afraid to portray actual racism in the form of Billy in previous seasons. So Jason demands Lucas to free Max. He won't let another murder happen. He winds up damaging a cassette player that he has no idea is key to helping her escape Vecna's domain. Ultimately, Lucas knocks him out in a fight, and he is killed when the Upside Down tears him in half. He died never knowing the truth. Nobody was able to sit him down and explain it all to him, due to his blind rage and the time-sensitive nature of the situation.
We are so proud of you. Soon you'll be in the sweet embrace of Christ the Lord.
If Patrick hadn't died in such an unfortunate timing, right in front of Jason, I truly believe he could have been convinced of the truth. Jason made sense of the impossible situation the only way he could, and we can't fault him for that. If the story was told from only his bubble, he would be a tragic hero who fought until the end to save everybody after the people he loved died in front of him. And he almost did save Max, but his hesitancy to shoot somebody he saw as family leads to his brutal death. So yes, as a viewer, we can see him as a meddling antagonist, but to claim that his ignorance and anger was unjustified is completely unfair. To the town of Hawkins, he is a hero that would have made Chief Hopper proud. Look, I love Eddie Munson too. I get why people are mad. I get why people found his speeches annoying, and you are completely allowed to see Jason that way. But he was still a well-written character and a victim of circumstance. Just try to keep that in mind. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more, and let me know if there's any other character you think doesn't deserve the hate they get. See you next time.
Who have thought
About what?
that a young buck like you could actually do the right thing and avoid getting his sorry
I had a
butt kicked
teammate
out the
hold me
game?
back. He told me to chill.